We are living in times where you have so many parents that's burying the children. When it's supposed to be the children burying the parents, you have so many parents burying their children. And nobody wants to see a child lose their life, regardless of what age. It could be an infant, it could be a teen, it can be in their early 20s. No one wants to see a young adult, a teen, or a child lose their life. But I was watching this video of this young black female in the face of an elderly man. This is Black Lives Matter social justice warrior. And the video's titled BLM SJW goes off at old black man trying to protect the Emancipation Memorial. I'm going to play this clip and I want you to hear this young girl. She's like in his face, pointing her fingers, cursing at this older gentleman. No type of respect at all in the name of protest. I was born in 1960. So I came up in an era where there was protest. Not one time did I ever see young children in the face of elders. We were always taught to respect our elders, regardless of what we got going on in our own personal lives, in spite of what we thought in our minds or what we felt. We always maintain that certain level of respect for an adult and mainly an elder. But I'm going to play this clip for you. And then I'm going to read a couple of scriptures and I'm going to end this video. Sometimes we see situations where tragedy takes the life of a young person, either at the hands of another black person, at the hands of a parent, at the hands of police, drug overdose. In the one case, this white chick was calling upon old ancestors, voodoo ancestors, and she lost her life. We hate to see things like that happen, and there's people that always say, well, they're only 16 and they're only 10 years old and they're only 9 and they're only 19 years old. They were so young. And they put the little emoji face that's crying or they're sad because of the loss of life. Or a young person decides to take their own life for whatever reason. But I'm going to let you listen to this video. And then we'll talk about it. Check this out.
I'm not fighting you. I'm actually showing you. No, here's the thing. Here's the problem. tearing something down that they don't even know the history of. If you're going to protest something, protest turning it back the way it was facing, which was the Capitol. That's the way that statue was facing. Y'all don't even know the history of this statue, but you want to tear it down because you are offended. I'm talking Listen, and let me say one other thing. To all of the people that live in the community, babe, I work for myself. Don't nobody pay me to do nothing. I do this for myself. And for all of the people in the community that's so upset, why didn't you clean this statue up? Why haven't you cleaned up around it, community? You're so upset and you want to tear it down, but you won't even clean up around it. Okay? It don't matter.
What is your message to Black Lives Matter protesters who are demanding to tear this down, and they are basically,
I say the Black Lives Matter people are full of shit. And the reason I say they're full of shit, because their money ain't saying Black Lives Matter. You come out here, you want to tear down statues, but how much of this black history of DC do you really know? If black lives really matter. You know, how much of this history have you tried to learn about Washington, D.C.? Because we got black history that's dying on the vine, sir, right here in Washington, D.C.
Now, that's a portion of this video. It's unfortunate, you know, and then there was another older gentleman that tried to talk to her, and she was yelling and screaming at him. And then the two older gentlemen started talking, and then the other older gentleman that was a part of Black Lives Matter decided to walk away from him, right? But you question why so many young people are losing their lives so young, and why parents are burying their children. Well, according to Romans, the 2nd chapter, reading the 11th verse, it says, "For there is no respect of person with God." I'll repeat that again. There is no respect of persons with God. So it doesn't matter if they're young, if they're middle-aged, if they're old. There is no respect of person with God. The next scripture I want to read is taken from the book of Deuteronomy, the 24th chapter, reading the 16th verse. And I want you to pay close attention to what this is saying. "The father shall not be put to death for the children, neither shall the children be put to death for the fathers. Every man," and this is including the children, "every man shall be put to death for his own sins." So when we see situations where young black children are dying in the street like animals, and sometimes in cases I've seen where their body lays in the hot sun for hours, even before they decide to move it. But if you look at the life of this young teen that was shot to death at the hands of another black child, gangbangers, drug dealers, disrespectful to parents, disrespectful to adults, disrespectful to seniors, just complete and total disrespect. Now, I want to share another scripture, the final scripture. And I've spoken on this scripture before. And it's interesting that people are quick to say how sad they are, how unfortunate it is for a child to lose their life, especially if they lose their life violently. Back in Vietnam, a lot of the American troops were faced with children, little so-called innocent children, that walked up to them with a grenade or a bomb attached to them. Now, find yourself in that situation. What would you do to save your life? Would your life be more important than that child's life that was sent out on a suicide mission to destroy you, or would you take the life of that child? Now, keep in mind, I'm not promoting violence, but you have to think rationally. You have to think, or better yet, use some sort of common sense. It's just like in the Middle Eastern war, when you have a child that may walk up to you with a bomb strapped to them because they're taught to believe that they will enter into paradise for dying for the cause of Allah. So they're willing to sacrifice their life in the cause of Allah. So would that child's life be more valuable than yours? What would you do in a situation where you have to defend your home, your family, from a child that breaks into your house, that's armed with a firearm, and that's threatening your life and the life of your family? What would you do? Run and hide? Wait for police to come? Anything could happen before the police arrives on the scene. So, would that child's life be more valuable than yours or your family's life? So, like that last scripture I read, every man shall be put to death for his own sins. So many of these young people that's dying at the hands of police, dying at the hands of each other, committing suicide, could it be because of something that they did wrong? See, the Most High is all-knowing. And if many of these kids continue to live on the earth, what type of hell would they have created in their adulthood? Why did the Most High see it fit for this child's life to end at a very young age? What did he see, or what does he know that we don't know or we can't see? Being that he's all-knowing. The only thing we know is the fact that it was a child. They died so young. They appeared to be so innocent, but were they? I also spoke on Shaka Zulu. If you ever watched Shaka Zulu killed this young boy that was next in line, I guess, to be a leader or the king. If I can remember correctly, I think he spared the little boy's life. But when the boy grew up, he remembered. And he became the death of Shaka Zulu. Shaka allowed him to live. He could not take the life of that little boy. And again, like I said, somebody correct me if I'm wrong. It's been so long since I watched that movie. But there was a young boy that he spared the life, and maybe because the mother begged that he spare the life of the child. But when that child became an adult, that child remembered and became the death of Shaka Zulu. The final scripture I want to read is 2 Kings, the 2nd chapter, reading the 22nd to the 24th verse, and it reads as follows. So the waters were healed unto the city, according to the saying of Elisha, which he spake. And he went up from thence into Bethel. And as he was going up by the way, there came forth little children out of the city, and mocked him, and said unto him, Go up, thou bald head, go up, thou bald head. Now, many will look at this and think, well, they're just being kids. Because that's what I hear so many adults say today. Oh, they're just being children. Kids are going to do what kids are going to do. We used to do that when I was young, so it's okay for them to do that because they're children. So they have a pass because they're kids. So many adults don't take these signs seriously. When they see certain red flags in their child, they allow the love for that child to overshadow or to blot out the red flags. They ignore the red flags because they love their child so much, or because they're just being a child. He's just being a boy. She's just being a girl. They have mental health issues. So they think of so many excuses to give their behavior, those red signs, a pass. But God sees different. He looks in not only in their heart, but he sees the path of their future. And sometimes a child's life is cut short because of what's down the road. I'm going to read that 23rd verse again. And he went up from thence unto Bethel. And as he was going up by the way, there came forth little children out of the city, and mocked him, and said unto him, Go up, thou bald head, go up, thou bald head. The 24th verse says, And he turned back. This is Elisha, the prophet of God, this old man that in this modern time would have been told, just ignore them, just keep going, don't say nothing, don't argue with children. But the 24th verse says, he turned back and looked on them and cursed them in the name of the Lord. And there came forth 2 she-bears out of the wood, and tare 42 children of them. In other words, these 2 she-bears came out of the woods and devoured those kids. Took the lives of these kids that was disrespecting this elder. So you question why so many young people are losing their lives at a very young age. Like I mentioned in that prior scripture, every man shall be put to death for his own sins. In other words, you will be held accountable for the choices that you make in life. So this is tight, but it's right. And I'm sure there's people that will disagree. So feedback, tell me what you think. Until next time, I'm fearless.